This story is very meaningful. Everyone should hear it. Listen to Brian tell the story. My name is Emma, a 34-year-old social worker living in a quiet little town that's seen better days. I've always been the dependable one, the big sister who picks up the pieces when life falls apart. My husband Jake is overseas for work, some engineering gig that keeps him gone for months at a time, so it's just me in our modest two-story house. Well, me and now my sister Sophie, who's 32 and 5 months pregnant. I took her in without a second thought when she showed up at my door, claiming it was a one-night stand gone wrong. I love Sophie, or at least I thought I did, until everything unraveled in a way I never saw coming. I'm not one for drama. My job's messy enough dealing with broken families. But lately, my life's turned into a soap opera I can't escape. It all started a few days ago, Monday evening, when I came home from a long shift to find Sophie on my doorstep, screaming her head off at some woman I'd never seen before. The air was thick with tension, sharp and electric, like a storm about to break. Sophie's pregnant belly jutted out under her sweater, her face red and tear-streaked, while this other woman, Claire, I'd later learn, stood there, wild-eyed and furious, jabbing a finger into Sophie's shoulder. My heart sank as I dropped my grocery bags, the apples rolling across the porch. "What the hell is going on?" I shouted, shoving myself between them. Sophie's voice cracked as she begged, "Emma, make her leave, please." Claire didn't back down, though. She turned her rage on me, her voice trembling with a mix of pain and venom. "Are you sleeping with him too?" she spat. I blinked, confused, my stomach twisting into knots. "Who? What are you talking about?" Before I could process it, Claire threw a stack of papers at my feet. Photos, emails, text messages, receipts, all spilling out like dirty secrets onto my clean porch. "Your sister's been screwing my husband for 5 years, she said, her words slicing through me like a knife. I froze, the world tilting under my feet. 5 years? Sophie? My Sophie? I glanced at her, hoping she'd deny it, but she just stood there, clutching her belly, her eyes darting away. Claire kept going, her voice rising. She knew about me, knew about our 4 kids, one of them disabled after a car accident, and she still played mistress like it was some damn game. My chest tightened, a sick heat creeping up my neck. I couldn't breathe right. I sent Sophie inside, her pleas fading as I shut the door, and turned back to Claire. "I didn't know," I whispered, barely audible. "I'm so sorry." Claire's eyes softened for a split second, then hardened again. She shoved a post-it with her number into my hand. "Don't let him come here," she said, her voice breaking. "Please." Then she stormed off, leaving me standing there, the papers fluttering in the breeze. I bent down, hands shaking, and picked one up. A photo of Sophie and some guy, Mark, on a beach, her laughing while he kissed her forehead. Another was a receipt for a baby moon trip dated just weeks ago. My knees buckled. This wasn't a one-night stand. This was a whole other life she'd hidden from me. Inside, Sophie was pacing the living room, her hands wringing together. I dropped the papers on the coffee table, my voice low and unsteady. "Explain this, Sophie, now." She wouldn't look at me, just kept muttering, "You don't understand, Emma. Mark loves me. He's going to leave her." I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that surprised even me. "Leave her? He's been stringing you along for 5 years. He took you on a trip to celebrate your baby while his kid, his disabled kid, was stuck at home with her." Sophie's face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks, but I didn't stop. "You met his kids, Sophie. You took them to the zoo. What were you thinking, that you'd just slide into their mom's place?" She sank onto the couch, sobbing. "I wanted to be a family with him. He said Claire was cold, that she hadn't touched him since the accident. I was giving him what he needed." I stared at her, my little sister, the one I'd shared secrets with growing up, and felt like I was looking at a stranger. "You're delusional," I said, my voice shaking with anger and something else. Grief, maybe. "You're not a victim here. You chose this." She reached for my hand, but I pulled back, the betrayal burning in my chest. "I don't know if I love you right now," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. Her eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face, but I didn't take it back. "I'll help you and the baby, but I can't trust you. Not with my life, not with Jake, not with anything." The next few days were a blur of silence and tension. Sophie stayed holed up in the guest room. The door cracked just enough for me to hear her shuffling around, her footsteps soft but heavy with something I couldn't name, guilt maybe, or defiance. She'd come out only to grab a quick bite from the kitchen or to stand in front of me, her eyes puffy and pleading, her voice a broken record. Emma, please forgive me. I didn't mean for this to happen. Every time I'd look at her, my little sister with her swollen belly and tangled hair, and feel nothing but a cold, hard wall where love used to be, I wouldn't give her the absolution she wanted. There's nothing to forgive, I'd say, my tone flat. I just don't know you anymore. Then I'd turn away, treating her like a tenant, cold and distant, because that's all I had left to give. It was like living with a ghost, one I couldn't exorcise but couldn't embrace either. Then came the call from Jake, late Wednesday night. I was sprawled on the couch, a half-empty glass of wine in my hand, when my laptop buzzed to life. His face flickered onto the screen, pixelated but familiar, those steady brown eyes searching mine even through the laggy connection. Emma, what's going on? You sound wrecked, he said, his voice thick with worry. I took a shaky breath and let it all spill out. Claire's screaming match on the doorstep, the papers scattered like shrapnel, Sophie's lies piling up higher than I could climb. My voice cracked as I got to the part about the zoo trips with Mark's kids, the baby moon receipts, the way she'd looked at me like I was the villain for calling her out. Jake rubbed his forehead, his jaw tight, miles away in some dusty overseas camp, but still my rock. She's trouble, Em. I trust you, but her? Not a chance. What if she tries something when I'm back? His words hit me like a punch, the thought gnawing at my gut. Sophie, with her history of bad choices, alone in our house with Jake. I swallowed hard, my throat dry despite the wine. I won't let her, I said, more to myself than him, my resolve hardening. She's out before you're home. The silence stretched after that, heavy and unspoken, until Jake sighed. You're tougher than me, Em. I'd have kicked her out already. I managed a weak laugh, but it didn't reach my heart. Tougher? I didn't feel tough, just tired, stretched thin like old fabric about to tear. I hung up, promising to call him tomorrow, and sat there in the dark, the house creaking around me like it was holding its breath too. Thursday morning brought a new wrinkle. Tina, the local freelance reporter with a nose for scandal and a social media following that thrived on it. I was at the kitchen sink, scrubbing a plate harder than necessary, when I saw her through the window, lurking by my mailbox with her phone out, snapping pictures of the house. She was 28, all sharp edges and sharper ambition, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, her leather jacket screaming, I'm here for the story. I'd seen her around town, always chasing the next big drama, but I never thought she'd turn her lens on me. Damn it, I muttered, dropping the plate with a clatter. Sophie shuffled in, her bathrobe loose around her, and froze when she saw Tina. Who's that? She asked, her voice small. Trouble, I replied, grabbing my coat. Stay here. I stepped outside, the air crisp and biting, and marched over to Tina. What are you doing? I demanded, crossing my arms. She grinned, not even pretending to be subtle, and held up her phone. Just documenting the saga of Sophie the homewrecker. People eat this stuff up. Hashtag homewrecker Sophie already has 100 likes. My stomach dropped, a sick lurch that made me want to snatch the phone and smash it. This isn't a game, I snapped. It's my life. Tina shrugged, unfazed. It's news now, Emma. Claire's been talking. Says your sister's been playing mistress for 5 years. I'm just giving the people what they want. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Leave us alone, Tina. I mean it. She smirked, backing off but not before snapping one last photo. No can do. This is too juicy. By afternoon, the whispers had turned into a roar. I took Sophie to the grocery store, stupidly thinking we could just get in and out, but the stairs followed us like shadows. Mrs. Peterson, the cashier with her pinched face and Jesus pin, didn't even try to hide her disgust. Sleeping with a married man, she hissed as she bagged our bread, loud enough for the whole line to hear. Sophie flinched, her shoulders hunching, but I kept my chin up, handing over my card with a steady hand. Mind your business, I said, my voice low but firm. She snorted, muttering something about sinners, and I felt Sophie's hand brush mine, trembling. I didn't take it. Then there was Mr. Harold, our neighbor, who'd apparently appointed himself judge and jury. He caught me Friday morning as I was hauling trash to the curb, his cane tapping the pavement like a gavel. Emma, he barked, his bushy white eyebrows furrowed. You're harboring a disgrace. That girl's brought shame on this street. I've half a mind to call a town meeting. I turned on him, my patience snapping like a dry twig. She's my sister, Harold, and this is my house. You don't get a vote. He puffed up, red-faced, but I didn't back down, staring him down until he shuffled off, grumbling about morals. I stood there, the trash bag heavy in my hand, my chest tight with a mix of fury and shame I didn't deserve. Saturday night, the storm broke wide open. I was in the living room, sprawled on the couch, flipping through channels with the remote, trying to drown out the restless thud of Sophie's pacing upstairs. The rain battered the windows, a steady drumbeat that matched the tension coiling in my chest. I'd turned the volume up on some mindless reality show, people yelling about cheating spouses, ironically enough, hoping it'd numb the ache that had settled into my bones. Then the doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, cutting through the noise like a knife. I froze, my thumb hovering over the mute button, a prickle of unease crawling up my spine. Who'd be out in this weather? I set the remote down, my hands clammy, and dragged myself to the door, the hardwood cold under my bare feet. I opened it, and there he was. Mark, tall and slick-haired, dripping wet from the rain, a suitcase sagging at his feet like a sad, soggy dog. His dark coat clung to him, water streaming off the edges, pooling on my porch. My heart stopped, a sudden sick thud, then kicked into overdrive, pounding so hard I thought it had burst through my ribs. "Emma," he said, his voice smooth and oily, like he thought it'd charm me. "I left Claire. I'm here for Sophie and our baby." His words hit me like a slap, and I felt the rage rise up, hot and unstoppable, a wildfire roaring through me. My hands balled into fists, nails biting into my palms, and I stepped onto the porch, forcing him to back up, the rain stinging my face. "You've got some balls showing up here," I growled, my voice low and trembling with fury, barely recognizable to myself. Sophie's footsteps thundered down the stairs, loud and frantic, and she shoved past me, her shoulder slamming into mine. Her face lit up, glowing with a desperate, delirious joy, like he was some damn knight in shining armor come to sweep her away. "Mark!" she cried, throwing her arms around him, her pregnant belly pressing against his soaked coat, her hair wild and tangled from days of hiding upstairs. I stood there, stunned for a split second, watching her cling to him, the rain soaking her too, and something snapped inside me, a raw, jagged break. I grabbed her arm, my fingers digging in harder than I meant, and yanked her back, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and betrayal. "No, not here. You want him? Take him and go." Mark squared his shoulders, his jaw tightening, water dripping from his chin. "You don't understand, Emma," he said, stepping forward, his tone shifting to that condescending calm I'd come to hate from men like him. "I love her. We're starting fresh. Me, Sophie, the baby. I'm done with Claire." I laughed, a harsh, ragged sound that tore at my throat, my hands trembling as I shoved him back, rain blurring my vision. "Love? You've been lying to your wife, your kids, and her for 5 years. You're a coward, Mark, and I want you gone." He didn't budge at first, his eyes narrowing, a smirk tugging at his lips like he thought I was bluffing. I pulled my phone from my pocket, my thumb hovering over 911, and started dialing, the beeps loud in the storm. "Get out or I call the cops," I said, my voice steady now, cold as the rain. That's when Tina appeared, materializing out of the shadows like a vulture scenting blood. She'd been lurking across the street, her phone already out, the red recording light glowing through the downpour. "Oh, this is perfect," she called, her voice gleeful, her boots splashing through puddles as she closed in. "Mark the deadbeat dad makes his move. #homewrecker Sophie just hit the jackpot." My stomach twisted, a sick lurch of dread. She'd been waiting for this, feeding off our mess like it was her personal buffet. Mark froze, his smirk faltering, and Sophie turned, her face paling as Tina's camera caught her mid-sob. "Tina, stop it!" I shouted, but she just grinned, zooming in. "No way, Emma. This is prime time." Before I could lunge at her, Mr. Harold's voice boomed from next door, his porch light flicking on. He stood there in his flannel robe, cane in hand, his white hair plastered to his head from the rain he'd braved to join the chaos. "What in God's name is this racket?" he bellowed, stomping over, his eyes locking on Mark. "You that no-good philanderer? I knew it. I told the neighborhood watch we'd have trouble with your kind." Mark stepped back, hands up, but Harold wasn't done, jabbing his cane toward Sophie. "And you, girl, disgracing this street. I ought to call the sheriff myself." I threw my hands up, my patience shredding. "Harold, back off. This isn't your circus," he huffed, muttering about standards, but stayed put, glaring like a soggy sentinel. Sophie pulled free from my grip, her eyes wild, darting between me and Mark. "Emma, he's here for me. Don't ruin this," she pleaded, her voice cracking, rain streaking mascara down her cheeks. I stared at her, my little sister, soaked and desperate, and felt a pang of something, pity maybe, or just exhaustion. "Ruin it?" I said, my voice breaking. "You've already ruined everything, Sophie. Go with him if you want, but not under my roof." Mark grabbed her hand, his suitcase banging against his leg, and started pulling her toward his car, parked crookedly at the curb. "Come on, Soph," he muttered, shooting me a smug look. "She'll come around." I didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there as they stumbled through the rain, Tina trailing them with her phone, narrating like a gleeful sportscaster. "And there they go, folks. The mistress and the cheater, off to their happily ever after. Or not. Stay tuned." Harold shook his head, retreating to his porch, and I finally hit call on my phone, letting the operator's voice crackle through. "Yes, hi. There's a trespasser on my property," I said, my voice hollow, watching Mark's taillights disappear. I hung up before they could ask more, my hands shaking as I stepped back inside, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. I sank onto the couch, the damp chill of my clothes seeping into my skin, and buried my face in my hands. My chest heaved, a sob clawing its way up, but I swallowed it down, the silence of the house pressing in now that Sophie was gone. My phone buzzed. Jake, his face frantic on the screen. "Emma, what the hell just happened? I heard yelling," he said, his voice tight. I wiped my eyes, my breath hitching. "Mark showed up, tried to move in. I kicked him out and Sophie went with him." Jake cursed, his hand raking through his hair. "You okay?" I shook my head, the tears spilling now. "No, but I had to do it. She's gone, Jake." He nodded, his jaw clenched. "You're stronger than she deserves, Em. Let her crash. She's not your problem anymore." Sunday dawned gray and heavy, the rain replaced by a thick fog that clung to the town like a shroud. I dragged myself to the cafe to meet Lisa, my coworker, needing air, needing someone to tell me I wasn't losing my mind. She was already there, her blonde bob sharp against her black sweater, stirring her latte with a skeptical frown as I slumped into the seat across from her. "You look like hell," she said, blunt as ever, her hazel eyes scanning me. I forced a smile, wrapping my hands around my coffee, the heat grounding me. "Feel like it too. Sophie's moving in with him. Mark, the bastard. I told her I'm done if she does." Lisa snorted, leaning back. "Good. She's a train wreck, Emma. You've been carrying her too long. What's next?" I shrugged, my throat tight. "I don't know. The town's imploding. Tina's got it all over social media. Harold's on a crusade, and I'm just stuck." Lisa tapped her spoon on the table, thoughtful. "You need backup. Ever think about talking to Claire? She's got skin in this. Might help you shut Tina down." I blinked, the idea sinking in, a flicker of hope amid the mess. "Maybe," I said, sipping my coffee, the bitterness matching my mood. I just want it over. Monday brought a new face, Deputy Ryan, a lanky guy in his late 20s with a buzz cut and a clipboard, knocking on my door mid-morning. "Ms. Emma?" he said, shifting awkwardly. "Got a complaint from a Mr. Harold about a disturbance Saturday night. Mind if I ask some questions?" I sighed, leaning against the frame, my head pounding. "Go ahead. It was my sister's boyfriend, ex whatever, showing up uninvited. I told him to leave, and he did." Ryan scribbled something, glancing up. "Heard he's trouble. Claire Matthews filed a report too. Says he's harassing her now that he's with your sister." My stomach twisted, guilt and relief warring inside me. "Not my circus anymore," I said, my voice flat. He nodded, tipping his hat. "Fair enough. Just keep an eye out." That afternoon, Sophie texted me, a photo of her stuff in Mark's car, captioned, "We're making it work." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the delete button, a hollow ache spreading through me, slow and heavy, like wet sand filling my chest. The image was blurry, taken through a rain-streaked window, her bags shoved into the back seat, a tangle of clothes and baby blankets spilling over, Mark's beat-up sedan idling under a gray sky. She was gone, really gone this time, her absence echoing through the house in a way that made the walls feel too close and too far all at once. But the fallout was just beginning, a ripple I could feel but couldn't stop, and I wasn't sure how much more I could take before it pulled me under. I dropped the phone on the counter with a dull thud, my hands trembling as I gripped the edge of the sink, staring out at the fog that clung to the trees like a shroud. The kitchen was silent, the kind of quiet that buzzes in your ears, and I hated it. Hated how it left me alone with my thoughts, replaying Saturday night over and over. Mark's smug face in the rain, Sophie's desperate grip on him, Tina's camera flashing like a spotlight on my unraveling life. I'd kicked them out, stood my ground, but it didn't feel like a win. It felt like I'd lost something I couldn't name. A piece of my sister, a piece of myself, washed away in that storm. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, my breath fogging it up, and whispered, "What did you do, Sophie?" Not that she'd hear me now. Monday night, the buzz of my phone yanked me out of a restless doze on the couch. It was Tina's latest post, shoved into my notifications by some algorithm that knew too much. "Homewrecker Sophie and Mark, the saga continues," the caption blared, paired with a shaky video of them from Saturday. Sophie clutching Mark's arm, rain plastering her hair to her face, his suitcase banging against his leg as they stumbled to the car. Tina's voice chirped over it, "Off to their fairy tale ending, or a crash and burn? You decide, fam." My stomach twisted, a sour knot of dread and disgust, as I scrolled the comments. "She's delusional," one said. "He'll ditch her by Christmas," another predicted. "Emma's the real hero here," someone wrote, and I flinched, the praise landing like a bruise. I didn't feel heroic, just tired, dragged through the mud of Sophie's mess. I was about to shut it off when Lisa's name flashed across the screen, her call a lifeline I didn't know I needed. "You see Tina's garbage?" she asked, her voice sharp and no nonsense, cutting through the fog in my head. "Yeah," I muttered, rubbing my eyes. "Can't escape it." She snorted, the sound almost comforting. "She's a leech, Emma, feeding off your drama like it's her job, which I guess it is. You holding up?" I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, the cracks in the plaster suddenly fascinating. "Barely," I admitted, my throat tight. "Sophie's gone, but it's like she's still here, haunting me." Lisa paused, then said, "You need to talk to Claire. She's got leverage, might shut Tina up. I'll come with you if you want." I sat up, the idea sparking something. Anger, maybe, or hope. "Okay," I said, my voice steadier. "Let's do it." Tuesday morning, I met Lisa at the cafe, her blonde bob catching the weak sunlight as she waved me over. Claire was already there, sitting stiffly in a corner booth, her hands wrapped around a mug like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Her face was pale, shadows under her eyes, but there was a fire in her gaze that hadn't been there on my porch. "Emma," she said, nodding as I slid in across from her, Lisa beside me. "Didn't expect to see you again." I swallowed, my mouth dry despite the coffee steaming in front of me. "Didn't expect any of this," I said. "I'm sorry. About Sophie, about Mark. I didn't know." She studied me, her lips a thin line, then sighed. "I believe you. Doesn't make it easier." Lisa leaned forward, her elbows on the table. "We've got a mutual problem, Tina. She's turning this into a circus. You've got proof, Claire. Let's use it." Claire's eyes narrowed, a flicker of something sharp crossing her face. "I've got more than proof," she said, pulling out her phone. "He's been texting me, begging to come back, says Sophie's a mistake, that he panicked. I've got it all." My heart sank, a sick confirmation of what I'd suspected, and I glanced at Lisa, who nodded grimly. "Show it," I said, my voice low. Claire slid the phone over, screenshots of Mark's messages, groveling and pathetic, time-stamped just hours after he'd left with Sophie. "I miss you, Claire," one read. "She's nothing. I'll fix this." I pushed the phone back, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and relief. "He's a snake," I said, "and she's blind." Claire took a sip of her coffee, her jaw tight. "I'm not taking him back, but I'll send this to Tina. Let her spin it. Maybe it'll knock some sense into your sister." I nodded, the weight of it settling on me. Sophie wouldn't listen, not yet, but at least the truth would be out there. "Do it," I said, and Claire typed out a message, attaching the screenshots, her fingers steady despite the tremor in her voice. "Sent," she said, leaning back. "Good luck, Emma. You'll need it." Wednesday, the town exploded again. Tina's new post hit like a bomb. Mark's double-cross exposed. Cheater plays both sides. The screenshots plastered across her page, racking up shares faster than I could count. I watched from my kitchen, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on the walls as the comments poured in. "What a scumbag," one said. "Sophie's an idiot," another jeered. "Poor Claire. Give her a medal," someone wrote. I felt a pang for Sophie, buried under the anger, a fleeting, foolish hope she'd see it and wake up. But when my phone buzzed with her name, it wasn't an apology. "You did this," her text read, short and venomous. "You and Claire ruined everything." I stared at it, my chest tightening, then typed back, "No, Sophie, you did." I hit send, then blocked her number, my hands cold but resolute. Thursday, Deputy Ryan showed up again, his clipboard swapped for a notepad this time. "Got a call from Claire," he said, standing on my porch, his boots scuffing the wood. "Mark's been hanging around her place, won't leave her alone. Thought you should know since your sister's with him." I nodded, my stomach sinking, but I kept my voice even. "She's not my problem anymore," I said. "If he's breaking laws, handle it." Ryan tipped his hat, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Will do. Take care, Miss Emma." He left and I shut the door, leaning against it, the finality of it sinking in. She was out there, drowning in her choices, and I couldn't save her. Friday night, Jake's face filled my screen, his eyes soft but tired from across the world. "You look better," he said, a small smile breaking through. I managed one back, curled up on the couch with a blanket, the house finally mine again. "I feel lighter," I said, my voice quiet. "She's gone, Jake. I let her go." He nodded, leaning closer to the camera. "You did the right thing, Em. She'll crash, but that's on her now." I swallowed, the ache still there but softer, less jagged. "I just hope she's okay, for the baby's sake." He reached out, like he could touch me through the screen. "She's got to figure that out. You focus on you, and me, when I'm back." I laughed, a real one this time, and it felt like breathing again. By Saturday, the whispers had faded, Tina's post losing steam as some new scandal took over. Mr. Harold left a grudging nod when I passed him on the street, and Lisa texted me a thumbs up. "You survived, badass." I walked through the house, picking up the last of Sophie's forgotten things, a sock, a hair tie, tossing them in the trash with a strange calm. She'd chosen Mark, chosen the lie, and I'd chosen myself. It wasn't easy letting her go, watching her fall without reaching out. But I'd learned something through the mess. Love doesn't mean carrying someone else's wreckage. It means knowing when to step back, when to save yourself so you can still stand for the ones who matter. Looking back, I see it clear. Sophie's story isn't mine to fix. She'll hit bottom or she won't, and maybe one day she'll knock on my door again, broken and sorry. If she does, I'll decide then what's left to give. For now, I'm done chasing her ghosts. I've got Jake coming home, a life to reclaim, and a quiet I'm learning to love. So here's the lesson, raw and real. You can't save someone who doesn't want saving, but you can save yourself. What do you think? Could you let go like that? Drop your thoughts below, tell me your stories. I'm here listening because sometimes sharing the load makes it lighter. Hit that subscribe if you're with me. We've all got battles worth talking about.